Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy. Just wondering what's going on because it said I had an error on one of these. So there we go. Um, Good morning. So we're on our final line, line 6. And so you've been doing a metaphor of a house. So how does that refer to the house metaphor, line 6?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Kris. Um, well, the sixth line is the roof. So, but it actually has a three-part process. So it's unique. It's unique amongst the lines because it has a process that is different at different ages.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody with a sixth line is young, and keep in mind this is if you have 6 in your profile. If perhaps you are a 3-6 or a 4-6 or a 6-2 or a 6-3, or it also applies to wherever you have 6 lines in your design.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the first third, the first part of that process is to act like a third line, which remember is trial and error. So a person with a sixth profile experiences a lot of mistakes, trial and error, chaos, crisis, all sorts of experiential ups and downs and bumping into and being bumped into
Mm-hmm.
up until the time they're 30, up until the time they go through their Saturn return. And then it shifts and all the chaos, it shifts. But the thing to understand about the sixth line, it's not as resilient as the third line. Even though in the first third of its life it's going through a third line process, it's not got the same resilience. And
Mm-hmm.
so often the six will come to that place of the Saturn return and feel quite exhausted, maybe cynical, maybe pessimistic, kind of disheartened by life. And
Mm-hmm.
then at the Saturn return, rounding off to 30 for simplicity,
Mm-hmm.
you come on to the roof. Oh, I'm on the roof now. Okay. And this is a time of recovery between the time of 30 and 50 at the Chiron return is a time of recovery. It's a time of life becomes calmer. The attention turns inward. It's not externally directed anymore. There's more of a sense of paying attention to one's personal process, looking out at the world, eventually becoming more objective,
Mm-hmm.
letting go of the feeling of trauma, and life is altogether more calmer, more
Mm-hmm.
peaceful
Mm-hmm.
in the second stage being on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the age of 50-ish, the person comes off the roof. In a sense, life calls them back into engagement with the world.
I liked what you said. They might get kicked off the roof or pushed off the roof.
Yes, life might kick them off, out of their sort of aloof
Mm-hmm.
observational stance, and now they are called into the world to show up as leaders and teachers. And
Mm-hmm.
so anybody with a sixth line in their profile, especially, is somebody who doesn't blossom until past the age of 50.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so And this is where the true value of the role model line, because the six is one of the names of it is the role model.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is able now to share its wisdom and its vision with the world. There is that capacity to trust life and to um, and also to other people naturally trust the sixth line. So there's this sense of the wise kind of elder teacher leader that starts to come forth.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be a very different feeling for the person compared to how they felt at a younger age. Um, but really, the role model line, the sixth line carries the true magic of the future and what is possible for humans. So it can be really an amazing time, and to witness people stepping up to be the role models and the leaders that they're meant to be is quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
It's
Um,
like you go through your midlife crisis, and then when your midlife crisis is over, then you start to blossom.
Pretty much. Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are the basic qualities of the sixth line?
Well, they have they have a detachment that comes from through, that arrives through their entire process. They're not as caught up in life, and therefore they can see the bigger picture a little bit better. Their aspiration is to be objective.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, one of the things, their connection theme is kind of the soulmate or not. Prior to the age of 30, they're very caught up in this whole yearning for a soulmate and for a connection and for kindred spirits. Um, their emotional approach is to be sympathetic or not, to be apathetic. Because I mean, remember, the sixth line at 30 can be quite disheartened and quite worn out and quite have a lot of road rash, so to speak. I'm not
It's
sure where that came.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because we know some people with line six, and I can say, like, I can see a lot of them in this
Mm,
as you're talking. Mm-hmm.
cool. Um, so they do have, there can be flashes of that leadership energy through, between 30 and 50, certainly, but it matures more at the 60 mark. Um, and I mean, it's all about mutation, and it's also about, um, they do have a unique perspective and a unique ability to kind of be influential towards others. Um, because they're not just seeing what has happened in that whole journey, they're also looking towards, you could say, the sixth line, of course, is on the verge of turning over into the next gate. And so they have a sense of looking forward as well to what's coming next. So that's kind of what the sixth line is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I liked
I guess,
there was other stuff that you said in there that was quite um, interesting. Like you talk about them, being inspiring to others, but it's like you can be inspiring or not inspiring, along with the sympathy and the apathy and the trust or not trust. And it's like there's just this theme how when we talk about emotions and different things, how there's that pendulum swing, like whatever one side you can slip into the other, right? So it's quite interesting how this is showing that.
yeah, and I mean that's as you've noted as we've gone through them,
Mm-hmm.
that's caught your attention every time. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what is this or not this thing?
Mm-hmm.
What is that referring to? It's referring to the potential of us living in alignment with ourselves
It's almost,
and what happens when we're not in alignment. So
yeah.
it really points out to us that,
It,
we not, I mean, what it brings up for me, Chris, is when you feel yourself in an energy which is not resourceful, not positive, not showing up well in the world.
mm-hmm.
Um, that's probably you in your not, any of us in our not self. But
Right.
there's always that potential to express in the more aligned way of our
Yeah.
own
It,
energy.
the word that comes to me is free will. So we have the choice which side of the coin we want to be on, or the pendulum, right? both are possibilities. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the choice. I like to think that deep inside of us, something knows how to be aligned with our own design,
Mm-hmm.
and we can choose that. I mean, often we don't choose it, but we
Mm-hmm.
can choose it. I mean, the sixth not being itself can be very aloof, dismissive, um, sees itself above everybody else, um, and wants to kind of squirrel themselves away somewhere, and not engage with the world.
Mm-hmm.
But the true destiny of the six is to kind of take what you learned in the objective phase of your life and bring it back
Mm-hmm.
to be of value to the world.
Exactly.
Um, yeah. I
So,
mean, you and I have a couple of sixth lines.
mm-hmm.
Your moon, I can't remember which moon it was, but one of your moons is in gate 47, which is a line 6 for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have gate 38 as well in line
Mm-hmm.
6. Do you have anything to say about those gates?
Yeah, they suck. No, just um, well, I guess that most of, especially Gate 38, um, has been a theme in my life, especially, the struggle, the perseverance, all of that stuff. It's always um, been prevalent. And I do recognize it. And always feeling like, oh, it's so hard and I have to do it by myself. And, all of those things have always um, come up for me, whether
Yeah.
it's in my own personal relationship or business or, you know, just going through life. I recognize that within it. So,
But
the
what it also suggests is that you are now becoming a role model for
Mhm.
the rest of us on how to show up in life and stand for what you believe in, because gate 38 is about purpose
Mhm.
with honor.
Mhm.
And so now you become a model of that for us. Having spent so much time, perhaps from 30 to 50, in that energy of perseverance, you touch now into, at the best moments, somebody who models that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Do you
and
have
40,
any? Yeah.
47. I don't know. I'm not sure if I can really point anything out in particular, but moving through life and feeling like, you didn't have choice or you didn't have um, the ability to change things and you felt like everybody else had control and you didn't. Um, and then being able to overcome that, um, and transmute whatever that energy was. Um, I
And
can I can see
if
it.
I may, that's the
Mhm.
one that is up in the head center across from the gate of confusion. So the gate
Mhm.
47 is the one that is able to eventually find meaning within all your experiences.
Mhm. Like, but it always comes after. The insight
Oh, of
comes
course,
after.
yes.
Yeah. It would be nice if we could get that insight before we have to go through all of that stuff. But yeah. Hmm. And you have
Yeah.
two as well. And how are yours? Or how do you see them play out in your life?
Well, 59 is interesting because 59 is the gate of sexuality. It has to do with breaking down the barriers to intimacy.
Hmm.
And this is a bit mysterious to me, but I was thinking about it the other day, and it's like, if we're talking romantic relationships, I certainly don't seem to, I don't, my life doesn't seem to have expressed that way. And yet, what I do recognize about myself is that in my work as an astrologer and as a human design analyst and as a tarot reader and as kind of an intuitive coach, I'm always seeking to create a connection with my clients, to tune into them on a deep level
Mm-hmm.
where they're able to. And my experience is that I establish a sense of intimacy within those
Mm-hmm.
contexts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, normally we think of intimacy and we think of our romantic partnerships. But I know that one of the things I most like is creating a sense, even if it's for a half an hour or an hour or whatever it is with a
Mm-hmm.
client, that sense of intimacy
Mm-hmm.
and that willingness to participate with them wherever they are.
Yeah.
And so I feel that that's what that is.
Mm-hmm. And
As for, pardon
what
me,
about 41?
41, that's where my Saturn is. I have 3 activations in the 41. And the 41 is what gets us dreaming and has us fall in love with an idea or a vision or a fantasy. And certainly earlier in my life, I don't think anybody would ever claim that I was the most grounded or practical of people because that's not how my energy it expresses in the world. That's not my
Mm-hmm.
gift or strength. But imagination is,
Mm-hmm.
and being interested in and excited about the journey of becoming more. And that's what 41 prompts us to do is to go on a journey to discover what more there might be in life. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I was a kid in my teens, this I created this song. I wrote this song, and it's the line of the song was, "I'm on my way where I don't know, but I'm on my way, and that's where I'll go." There's a sense that I didn't know where the journey was going to take me, but I was really excited about it. And
Mm-hmm.
now, now that I'm well past 50,
Mm-hmm.
there is maybe a sense in which I have some understanding about that journey of
Mm-hmm.
following your dreams, of going on the hero's journey,
Mm-hmm.
of trusting where that impulse in life might take you.
Cool. So, is there anything else you want to say about line 6 before we wrap up?
Um, I won't say any more about line 6. I will just say, like Chris and I have just done, even if you aren't don't have a 6 line in your profile, look at where your 6s are in in wherever you have an activation that has a line 6. Look at that as an area of your life in which you're going through a real journey. It's going to have a real arc to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to have those 3 stages. So look to that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, for those of you who like the way I communicate about these esoteric subjects, um, before too long, we're going to see the electronic release of my astrology program and my human design program. So you can watch for that.
And speaking on the fantasy side of things,
Mhm.
on Saturday, we're releasing the Brood of Dragons readings, which is all about a group reading up to 7 people and the group dynamics within and what that group brings to you and what you are together. So that's one of your specialties that people can call and book. So we look
And
forward to
that's
doing
super,
that.
super fun. I mean, I'm super passionate about that because we don't think enough about how we come together. We synergize with each other in groups.
Mm-hmm.
The groups that we form, whether work groups or friendship groups, are not arbitrary. We're
Mm-hmm.
brought together by, in human design, we call it fractals. We're on the same fractal, we're on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
And to look at the dynamics of a group, this is a tarot process, by the way, the Brood of Dragons, but
Mm-hmm.
this can also be explored in other ways through
Mm-hmm.
human design and astrology. But the
Mm-hmm.
Brood of Dragons is a tarot process that we're initiating, and it's all about what do you contribute to a group, and what does being in that group enable you to do? It's super fun.
Mm-hmm. So if that's something that somebody's interested in, you can call us at Clair-i-tea 587-596-3333 and book your Brood of Dragons reading or any other service that Hartwell provides. Take advantage of his knowledge in human design and astrology. With that, we're going to say goodbye. God bless. We hope you enjoyed the show. Bye, everybody.